Hello, and welcome to another inauspicious episode of We Only Look
Wow.
Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach,
Yeah.
a Thrive Global certified coach. I've lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 7 years. And with me today is my auspicious
Husband, Donald Weigel.
Sorry, I forgot that part.
I had to add that part in there. Hello,
Hello.
I'm your husband.
You are.
Welcome to the show. I am one of the hosts of the show. I lost about 100 pounds, kept it off for, 6 or 7 years, whatever it's been. And we are here to talk about it.
We are. And I was just looking up the definition of inauspicious.
Well, I hope you're going to tell me because I'm not entirely sure what it is.
So do you know what the jerk baloney pants dictionary says?
No.
Not auspicious.
Thank you for being so helpful.
That's not helpful. You can't just say it's the not of the thing that it is. That's not. That is not helpful.
Inedible. Look up edible, and it's not that.
It's not that.
That's what it says. Yeah,
exactly. So, auspiciousness. Which, you know what, I didn't actually even bother looking up what auspicious is. But I do know that it is the opposite of not auspicious.
Yes, yes. You look up auspicious, and it says the opposite of inauspicious, not inauspicious.
Exactly. But basically, it's like, is it favorable? Is it not favorable? And it's sort of like the month is March. March is the month that it is.
Yes.
And I have heard of the Ides of March.
Yes, you must be aware of them.
I must be aware. And it's actually it's long and boring, so don't fall asleep. But the Ides of March isn't an actual day. It sort of coincides with the full moon. But I know also it portended Caesar getting killed by all of his chums.
Yeah.
Which made it inauspicious.
Yeah. No, and like Brutus did some stuff that wasn't cool.
Yeah. So, but you can
stab his friend.
Look up history.
Yeah.
Just Google history.
Yeah. So
and then you'll find it.
The dictionary definition of auspicious is showing or suggesting that future success is likely.
Oh, that sounds like the opposite of stinking thinking.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which we have talked about a lot of times. But basically, things that are auspicious.
So we're going to talk about inauspicious things.
But it seems kind of like a bummer. Like, why would I listen to a podcast that talked about bad stuff on purpose?
Yeah.
Because that seems like growth mindset. That's not good. We should just think positive. Isn't that the most annoying thing when someone says just think positive?
Yeah, like if you just think positive, then everything will go your way. That's what they say.
Yeah.
And it doesn't usually work that way.
But I think a lot of times in the health world, we just sort of like feels like, oh, like manifest positive things, be positive. And when we do that, we kind of don't take into account the things that life can throw our way that might get in our way.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that we have talked about on this show that I think you don't hear a lot of other places is to plan ahead and to have a plan when you are moving forward. If you just say to yourself, well, I'm going to lose 10 pounds over this certain period of time, or I'm going to go to the gym, 5 days a week, I'm going to meal prep every Sunday, and you don't prepare for when those plans don't work out, then you don't have a plan for when those plans don't work out.
Look, we call it many different names. We've talked about pivoting. We've talked about things being figure-outable.
Yeah.
But we're going back to the mysterious world of business for this episode of We Only Look Thin. We recently did.
I, for one, don't care for it.
No.
Don't care for business. Well, I don't know that it's ever done anyone any good.
When I was a kid, I was just like, who wants to carry a briefcase? I thought that's what business was.
That's like the part you have to
do.
No,
I had a toy, Fisher Price or whatever. It almost looked like a doctor kit thing, but I took out all the doctor stuff and then just put a bunch of papers in it and walked around like I was business.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm like my dad, I'm business. And I think business is more than that, is what I've kind of...
Business is more than carrying papers in a briefcase.
It is. It is.
No way.
Yes way, my guy.
This is news to me.
Your mind is bottled?
Yeah.
So, but we think...
My mind is bottled.
It is bottled. But we often want to plan for success. And sure, that's soupsy doopsy great. But if business has taught us anything from the SWOT analysis, which we did an episode, SWOT in the Name of Love, where we talked about internal strengths and potential places where you're maybe weak or wavering, and then external opportunities and threats. This is kind of the threat-isode. Like, we're just going to look at threats, which is super fun. But it is actually something that they use in Business America.
You know what? It turns out there are like 1 to 3 things that business can do that actually is helpful.
It is, or they are. So we are looking at something that the business chums call a pre-mortem. Doesn't that sound inauspicious?
It sounds
like a pre-mortem?
It sounds like something that you would find on a like a TV show like Quincy ME.
Yeah.
or like the CSIs. Didn't they have like a sassy punk medical examiner on one of those shows?
They did. She was no nonsense. She wore black all the time, even when it was hot outside.
That's right.
What's more rebellious than
Piercings and tattoos, and she was an ME or something.
Something like that. So an ME is a medical examiner, for those who don't know.
Yeah, I thought it stood for mental elephant, but it turns out it's medical examiner.
Mental elephant.
I don't know.
Okay, so a business pre-mortem is a technique where you imagine your project failing from the beginning. Isn't that nice? Like, okay, so like, hey, we want to open up a real, I don't know what businesses do. What do they open? Stores. They have new products.
Yeah.
They sell stuff. And they're like, oh, that's great. We've got a great thing we're going to do. But you sit down before you do any of it and imagine that everything has gone wrong. Yeah. Doesn't that sound fun?
It sounds great. Normally, we like to talk about having a growth mindset and like believing that you can like do something and like setting a goal and knowing that you can achieve it and building resilience. But now we are going to focus on imagining that everything you plan to do fails.
Well, and there's that book, the worst case scenario guidebook or whatever.
Yeah. Which is where it's like, hey, your plane is going to crash. Like, what do you do?
Wrestle a shark.
Yeah, you run into a shark in the ocean. What do you do?
There's actually a couple of, so there's a chapter on how to survive the desert. How to get along with tarantulas. You know what? Maybe tarantulas should read a book about how to get along with me. How about that? How to deal with a scorpion, protect yourself in a sandstorm, how to cross piranha-infested waters. So my answer to all of that book is I'm not going to go to any of that to make that part of what happens to my life.
Right.
I will not go toward water. I will not be in a desert, and then I won't have to worry about it. But
I avoid the ocean, and therefore I don't get bitten by a shark.
Right. So you're you're eliminating that. But unless we want to just stay very still and not talk to anyone or do anything or eat anything or go anywhere for the next 25 or 30 years,
right,
the world will present challenges to our health and fitness goals. So this is sort of a worst case scenario, but like life is going to happen. Like it's not tarantulas. Maybe it's like a snack.
Yeah. And so I think that the point here really is that I think that a lot of times I'm sort of repeating myself from earlier that we say to ourselves, we're going to do something. I'm going to, pack my lunch every day. I'm going to eat a certain food, but we don't plan for what we're going to do if that thing we said we were going to do fails.
And when it does, because something is going to get in your way. Even with the best laid plans, there are going to be obstacles that get in our way. And that is where business comes in.
Yeah. So a pre-mortem in business, to say it again, is when you assume your project has failed and you work backward to identify the reasons for failure. And in business, it's often used to prevent problems before they arise by acknowledging potential risks up front. So, in other words, in terms of your health goals, you anticipate possible roadblocks, challenges, or pitfalls that might come along the way. And then you come up with a plan in order to, deal with them when they happen.
So, and ironically in all of that, the more we consider what might go wrong and how to work around it, the more successful we will be, because we're not, and I know that this has happened to me before, and I mean, I say this maybe on every episode, I'm going to do Weight Watchers. I'm going to follow and track points. I'm doing it Monday through Friday. And I never imagined I would have to go out to eat with my family on Saturday and there wouldn't be any points I could track. Chaos, madness, like rip up the paper. Things used to be on paper. They're not now, but they used to be on paper. You can't rip up your phone because that's probably where your app is.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, that's really like a downside of it, really, when you think about it.
Well, and like you can't slam down phones on people anymore, which is kind of a bummer.
Right.
So anyway, it's fine. I don't slam very many things. But so by taking the time to really consider maybe the month ahead, the week ahead, the things that are coming up in your life, the more we're able to plan and, accommodate for things that get in our way, the more adaptable we are and the more able we are to pivot and actually be successful in the face of challenges. Because though we might have small seasons of time where everything seems to be going our way, more than not, things are going to get in our way. And whether it is a piranha or a lunch out with friends,
Yeah.
like it is important to be able to look in front of you and see what challenges might come your way.
I would have lost so much weight this past month if it weren't for all the piranhas.
So food is definitely the thing we love most, but the second thing we love most is making parallels between business and health goals. So
That's right.
So just like businesses have risks like budgeting, time, marketing, your arch enemy opening up a competitive business, your health goals have potential obstacles too: time management, motivation, injuries, etc. So again, this is relevant because the more we can plan the month ahead and the more we can plan for things that get in our way, the more successful we will be with continuing even when things do get in our way. So Donald, what is the first sort of step in all of this planning nonsense?
So when you're stepping into planning nonsense, the first thing to do is to identify your health goal for the month ahead. And, we like to suggest don't try and juggle too many health goals all at once. So just for example, you might decide you want to average 10,000 steps a day, and or eat at a deficit 80% of the time. So, one or both of those might be your health goals for the month ahead.
Well, and I think part of that is it's not unreasonable to say that I'm going to get in steps every day and that I'm going to try to eat at a deficit. And when we look at literally the month of March, we're in sort of a little bit of a season of change. If you're listening to this right now, in the US, the time change is coming. So it's going to be lighter later in the evening, which is super duper. So it's an opportunity to kind of go like, oh, there may be some good things coming our way, which yay for more light. But step 2 is, okay, it's beginning of March right now. You're listening to this. Let's assume it is April 1st. April Fools, everybody. Hello. Assume right now that March went terribly.
Yeah.
Like that you had, it's reasonable to get 10,000 steps a day. It's reasonable to eat at a deficit 80% of the time. Visualize the idea that you failed in achieving your health goals. And then actually ask yourself, what went wrong? What obstacles did you face? So imagine that the month of March has gone by. And so that's what it's gone. So Again, this is me imagining this time. So Donald is going to be out of town for about a week.
Yeah.
So that could be like, oh, well, that's great. Oh, but it also could mean that I could secretly without him even knowing it.
Yes.
For a whole 10 days, which would be great and except not good.
Secret eat in secretly.
Secretly.
Yeah.
And he would never even know about it because he's not even here. So that is something that could go wrong. Donald is going away, and he might also be able to secretly eat.
Yeah, I'm going to visit my parents, and I will be out of my environment, and I will have to imagine, maybe not having access to the sort of normal food and exercise equipment that I'm used to, and I'll be on a different schedule, and, imagine all of those reasons why my march might have gone wrong, or at least a large chunk of it.
Right. Somebody could get sick. I mean, and sure, coming up with an exhaustive list of like piranha and scorpions and like asteroids. Like,
we don't have to worry about tarantulas because we're getting along with them.
Yes, we have read the book. Actually, all I read was the subject header, so I know it is possible to get along with tarantulas.
We sent the tarantulas the book on how to get along with humans, and they did all the work and read it.
Oh,
so now we all get
along.
They
have more eyes.
We get along very well.
It's much easier. But if you realistically imagine, okay, what does a typical work week look like? What does it look like when my kid is in school? What does it look like when I'm on my own? What if I have, a work deadline coming up? How do I usually deal with that? What might get in my way? So typical things could be a lack of scheduled time to get in steps. Like I said, maybe it's a rainy season and you're not going to be able to walk outside. Maybe it's going to snow. Maybe your workout machine which is definitely what people work out on workout machines.
That's right.
What if something dies? What if, you twist your ankle? What if you don't, you have motivation right now, but what if something happens and suddenly you don't feel motivated? Maybe there are poor diet choices, unhealthy habits, injuries, weather, meetings, holidays, stress, emotional eating. Yes, oh my gosh, you're telling me I have to plan for all of this? We're not saying you have to come up with a detailed plan for everything, but just oh yeah, things get in my way.
Right.
Have things gotten in your way in the past? What were they? Consider that, because it helps us, again, not set unrealistic expectations. And instead of getting oh man, all I wanted was to walk and everything got in my way, be like, oh yeah, life happens. And this is how I pivoted and adapted.
Well, and what I've done in the past over and over again is I would not plan for these things or not imagine these things going wrong. And then when they did, I would just say, well, this is proof that I can't do it. And I would give up. And I would stop, and then I'd be right back where I was, or eating myself into a much deeper hole.
Exactly.
So identify your reasons for failure. These, could be things like lack of time, scheduling conflicts, overwhelming workload, family responsibilities, a loss of motivation. Maybe you just get too tired. Maybe you're not seeing immediate results, and maybe you're under too much pressure, or you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Maybe you didn't plan well enough, not having a clear action plan or tracking your progress. Maybe there are social influences at work, temptations in, social settings like, unhealthy food at parties, for example, or going to visit your parents and possibly having, too many opportunities to eat out or have takeout or something. Maybe a physical injury will happen, which I hope it doesn't, but they happen to nearly everyone, not listening to your body when you're, when you should stop and exercise, overtraining, or, you don't give yourself enough time for recovery. All of those things could be possible reasons for a failure for your plan ahead.
Right. And so the next step is to develop strategies to address these obstacles. Because we've all lived in the past, just letting you know, if you're alive, you have also lived before now.
That's right.
We can reflect on previous experiences.
Unless you were born right this second,
now,
as we said it.
Welcome, baby child.
Thank you for listening.
To our baby listeners out there.
Your first seconds on planet Earth.
Exactly. So addressing obstacles in each of those categories, we can pull on our previous experiences. What happened the last time I wasn't able to get in my workout? How did I adapt to that? Or how could I have adapted to that? So again, schedule workouts onto your calendar, like appointments, and set realistic time goals. So again, of as I'm looking at my schedule right now, it is going to be light later. So maybe instead of doing a morning walk, maybe because it's going to be light after work, maybe I'll start walking after work as an alternative. Look at me solving problems right here, right now.
I love it.
Okay, so maybe you're feeling low motivation. We've talked about this before. I'm just kind of like, I used to love doing this, now I don't. Maybe trying a new habit, a new exercise, pairing an activity with something you enjoy, like, oh, the new season of the show is coming out. I'll rebound while watching the show. That will gain my interest. Or I can only listen to this audiobook while I'm going on a walk.
Oh, that's a
that
good
kind
one.
of thing. Trying to like reinvigorate, because it can get boring sometimes if you keep doing the same thing over and over. One woman in Wolt, We Only Look Thin Place, Wolt Place, We Only Look Thin Place, our Facebook-based accountability group, saying that she had actually added geocaching as a way to get in steps, which is they're like these little hidden kind of pods out in nature that a collective of people have put in place, and you can like find it and then put your little name on this little scroll.
You leave little trinkets or something there, right?
Yeah,
for people to find.
There are different things, but if you look up geocache, C-H-E-C-A-C-H-E. Yeah, cache. It's sort of like this little tiny metal tube that has a little tiny scroll in it, like you're a little tiny mouse, and you can put your initials on it. But it's just sort of a like way to gamify going on walks. So finding new ways to get in old activity can be a super fun thing to do.
Yeah, I thought about geocaching like a long time ago when I first heard about it, and then I never did anything about it. So it sounds fun.
We did geocaching in Oregon with our teen. I went up to Oregon with our teen, and we went to a local park and found a geocache. It looked like a little walnut or something like that. It was like a little shell, and you untwisted it, and then this little scroll was inside. And walking through the park, this family was like, "Oh, did you find the geocache? We go geocaching." So it's a whole thing. You find a whole community of people.
What if you don't like walnuts? Can you still?
That's right. There's the pistachio nut.
There's
good. Many different kinds of chambers.
I love it.
So again, maybe on the planning side of things, oh no, what if I forget my lunch? What if there's nothing for me to eat at the party? Okay, so plan some good luck meals, do some easy meal prep, plan a workout routine, track your progress consistently. Again, that's why I don't just set a goal for the month. Week by week, I look at what is happening that week. What is realistic based on the weather and my schedule and how many meetings I have? What kind of backup things can I put in place to make sure that I still have time to get everything done? I try not to look at things as a daily goal, but rather I look at things weekly. So again, not necessarily I want to get 10,000 steps a day, but I want to average 10,000 steps a day, which might mean that on the weekend I get 15,000 steps. On weekdays I might get 7, but in the end it averages out to 10. So that puts less pressure on that exacting, well, I know it's a day where I'm traveling for work, but I said I was going to get 10,000 steps. And if I don't, that means I'm a failure. That's too rigid. Being able to pull back and look at averages can really help. And then again, on the social influences, have policies about your food choices. We did episodes like Only Burgers in the Building and I'm a Carby Girl, where we talk about setting up different situations for success on your food choices. And then again, with physical health, I can't get in steps, but I can do a few minutes of yoga. I can't go on a 30-minute walk, but I can go up and down the stairs at work 2 times, make it smaller, adapt, and then feel success because you're actually finding ways to accommodate and find solutions instead of just feeling like a victim and like a failure.
And so now that you have imagined you're going to fail and have now thought of the reasons why you might fail, and then thought of plans to get past failing, to stop yourself from failing, the key is to monitor what's going on and adjust as you go. And once again, what I used to do and what I would always do is I would hit one of these obstacles. One of my backup plans wouldn't fire or wouldn't work. And then I would just decide again, oh, well, I should give up. And then I'd wait another 6 months before doing anything and gain another 20, 30 pounds in the process and, repeat this cycle over and over again. So set regular check-ins with yourself, whether it's weekly or monthly or every few days, and really assess your progress, challenges, and figure out what adjustments that you might need. And the important part of this is to have a flexible mindset instead of an all or nothing attitude. Instead of I messed up once, I'm just going to quit. You have to realize that goals may need to evolve or change based on unexpected events. Things come up in your life, and maybe the goal that you set turns out not to be realistic, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything, because doing one is better than doing none. Like, it turns out one of whatever it is more than none of whatever it is.
Exactly. And I think, as we're sort of, pulling this all together, we always have things that knock us down, that disappoint us, that throw us off track, that make us feel like, that our goals are getting farther and farther away with each family visit or business trip or, sick kid calling out of school. It can feel discouraging, but if you switch it around in the pre-mortem way that fun pre-death looks like, we can actually pre-death, yeah. But we can take it as an opportunity to catch our breath and just say, like, yeah, life gets in the way, and waiting for that perfect time. Once the kids get out of school, once I get the promotion, after tax day, after I get back from the vacation, then my real life will begin. Our real lives are right now.
Yeah, it's happening.
And the more that we can advocate for ourselves and come up with solutions and adapt to our surroundings, the more time we take to just invest penny by penny in our health, the more dividends it will pay over time. And this is a practice that I think is important to do every time a season changes, every time a new challenge or a new circumstance is coming your way.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll have those times when it's like, oh, I have no visitors coming our way. The weather's great. This is my favorite time of year. Awesome. That's going to happen every once in a while. But more likely than not, there are going to be things that challenge our goals. And it's not what we do only in the best of times that matters. It's how we adapt and pivot in challenging circumstances that really shows what we're made of and how we can progress in the long run. So again, a pre-mortem method doesn't just help you identify risks, but it prepares you with actionable solutions. And by applying this technique to your health journey, you'll be more proactive and resilient when facing challenges. So don't think of it necessarily as 100% failure proofing, because we are all going to have setbacks.
Yeah.
But being able to anticipate what might go wrong will help us plan for success. And again, I think as Gretchen Rubin says, a stumble can prevent a fall.
Yes.
Right? Just getting back up time and time again is easier. The more options we feel like we have, the more solution focused we are. And solutions start with predicting complete failure. And I think we have completely succeeded in planning to fail today auspiciously.
Yes.
I fit auspicious into it somewhere.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast, whether you listened auspiciously or inauspiciously.
Or with your friend, the tarantula.
Non-auspiciously. Yeah. If you'd like to listen to more episodes of this show with your tarantula buddies or without your tarantula buddies, you can find the most recent 300 episodes anywhere on all the major podcast platforms, wherever you found this one. And you can also go back to episode 1 on YouTube or on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on that link for join our support group to find out more about Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our weekly Zoom meeting, coaching opportunity, and Facebook group. We are not a plan. We're not going to tell you what to eat or how many calories to have. Come with your own plan. If you're doing Weight Watchers or intermittent fasting or tracking calories, come on over. Mindset is global. So even though our plans might be a little bit different, the way we think about our goals, we can all support one another. So join Wolt Place. We've got 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you. Work on yourself. come for some coaching. We had a great call this morning where we took a deep dive into a topic, and I'm just very proud of the group and everyone who shows up to support one another. So check us out.
Check it out, indeed. Also, you can check us out in other social media settings. We are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin, or you can send us an email. You can give us episode suggestions, ask us questions. We've turned a lot of listener emails into episodes of this show. If you do have questions, we'll do our best to answer them. Or if you just want to say hello, give us a shout out. Tell us you're enjoying the show. Tell us what you like. Tell us how your pre-mortem has gone, how it has benefited you. We'd like to hear from you, and you can do all those things by emailing weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and if you have a couple of extra minutes, please head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we are doing after all of these years is still making a difference in your journey venture, but it also helps others find our podcast. So please take a minute, head over, give us 5 stars, leave us a compliment. It really makes a difference.
Yeah, it really does help the show grow. And another thing that really helps us out is if you could just tell somebody about the show. If you know someone who you think might get something out of it, if it comes up in a conversation, if you are amongst strangers on an elevator, and you just want to give us a shout out, that helps. Or if you're on the interweb and you are in a Facebook group, a Discord server, a subreddit, and it makes sense to give us a shout out, we would be grateful. It really does help the show grow.
It sure does.
So if you are now trying to decide whether you want to get some exercise by briskly carrying papers around in a briefcase or shark wrestling, please try to remember that Catherine and I are an inspiration.
You can also take the briefcase and smack the shark on the nose.
Ooh.
Just smack it on the nose. Take that, shark.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.